Welcome to an introduction on our DQ360 API suite, where today we're going to be looking to take an introduction into the architecture and some real-world use cases of this technology. Today's objectives will be really to start looking into, well, what are the DQ360 APIs? Why use DQ360 as a set of services? Some real-world use case examples, and then some proof of concept results that we've recently carried out. So what are the DQ360 APIs? Well, really, they are a set of services that have been engineered to provide continuous, proactive data management that will allow real-time point of entry cleansing, checking of data, so that you can maintain your data ecosystem in your source and target systems. And this will become more clear when we look at the use case in a moment. Like I said, they're highly configurable APIs, but the difference here is they're actually APIs that have configurable UI screens, so you can define the metadata behind those and therefore configure and change the rules with ease. And you're also able to maintain the integrity between source and target systems. And again, I'll be speaking about this in a moment. Finally, they're completely application agnostic as they're a set of API services. So why use DQ360 APIs? Why are they different to what else is out there? Well, really, it's about leveraging an ESB, whether that be Azure Service Bus or any other ESB that might be out there. They're flexible and extensible as clients onboard and change systems. They're sitting there as services, ready to be called when you integrate with new systems. And all records are governed through predefined rules. So anything that's coming into the system, there'll be an audit log of what's changed, what's occurred, how things have matched, so that any time that needs to be brought back to the business or rules need to be tweaked, they're there and can be seen. And finally, end-to-end rule automation. And again, I'll talk about this on the next slide with the use case example, and hopefully that paints a better picture. So here we have a use case with a hospitality client that are using these DQ360 API services. They have two systems where bookings or profiles can come in, where people have booked to stay at the hotel. And this profile comes along and they have no control whatsoever as to the information in this profile or the quality of the data. So this profile comes along, and the ESB that was chosen here was MuleSoft, but as I said, it could be Azure Service Bus. And this profile comes along, and rather than just inserting this record into the target, which in this case is Dynamics, but it could be any target, what they wanted to do was control the quality of the data. So what we did was stood up a cleanse API that has rules defined behind it to say, when I get this profile, what am I going to do in order to standardize, normalize, enrich this data so that I can then do my next tasks? So for instance, it might be as simple as go and format this telephone number in the UK standard or US standard, international standard. Go and maybe check that this email delivers. Go and standardize the salutations that have come through because you might have multiple different variants. Go and standardize this address block because it's come to us and we need to parse it into the correct fields. Or go out to third parties and do other potential checks to cleanse this record. Once you've cleansed the record, you've also generated tokens that are going to be used for matching purposes, so phonetic tokens. And that's useful in the next step, which is our search API. So within the target, which is Microsoft Dynamics, we have pre-built tokens to go and search in so that we're finding multiple different variants of Robert, Bob, Connor with a K, Connor with a C, and all those different variants that you might find in the database. So we've found these, we potentially found a duplicate record. If we don't, we're just going to insert the record. If we are certain that we've found a record in Dynamics, what we're going to do is automatically update it through set of rules. But if we're unsure, we're going to have to send it to a review screen. So once we've found these records, it's really important that we actually know how similar are these records. Let's score these records. If we're super certain, like I said, let's go and update the record in the target system. If they fall between a threshold where we're not so sure, then we're going to have to send them to a review screen. Or if they fall below a threshold, we deem it as a non-match and the record gets inserted into the system by the ESB. So here we have a set of records. If we're certain, we're going to send it to the mastering API, which has a set of rules to define which record's the best, what information from this new record should move across onto the record that already exists in Dynamics, so that you're getting an end-to-end automation for records that you are highly certain that they are duplicate records. Like I said, you're going to get some records that are going to get kicked out and they're going to get sent to the review API. Now, the review API is a review screen that would sit within Microsoft Dynamics or outside of Dynamics so that you can review duplicate records and make a decision via a data steward. So here in Dynamics, we use our DQ4 Dynamics application review screen to do that. Once those records have been remediated, what we can then do is send back the information to MuleSoft, which is going to keep Oracle in sync with the target system, which is Dynamics. And that's how you're keeping your source and your targets in sync. So just one use case, but hopefully that paints a solid picture for how these can be orchestrated. Finally, just wanted to walk through some project results from another client that we've been working with. They have a proof of concept that they ran, and they found that 96% of duplicate contacts and 85% of duplicate accounts were found when using our cleanse and search APIs. And they actually found that 4% of the contacts, which is the difference there between 96 and 100%, 4% of the contacts and 15% of the accounts were not identified due to null values and missing data fields. So if they were to be populated, then it would have brought those matching figures on the left-hand side up to 100%. In greater than 88% of net new test cases were correctly identified by the system, and 100% of the desired fields were selected correctly. So just some use cases around how this is working in real life on real data. Obviously, we can't show the data or name the clients that we're working with, but this is what they've found when actually testing this on their own data. So that's all. Thank you very much. And if you'd like to get into contact, feel free to either phone, email myself, connor.doyle@dqglobal.com, or feel free to scan this code and follow me on LinkedIn. Thank you very much and hope you found that useful.